text per Maryland Code and Natural Resources, as the same may be amended from time to time. A hearing will be held on January the 7th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, R. Clayton Mitchell Jr., Kent County Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland. The agenda for the meeting will be published online 24 hours in advance of the meeting at www.kentcounty.com/commissioners/meeting-agenda. Citizens are encouraged to participate in the public hearing process. If you require communication assistance, please contact the County Commissioner's Office at 410-778-4600 and press 4, or visit Maryland Relay at www.marylandrelay.org no later than noon on Friday, January the 3rd, 2025. A complete copy of the proposed legislative bills available in the Commissioner's Office, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. by order of the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Sandra M. Blackston, Clerk, and it was published in the Kent County News on 12/12/24 and 12/19/24. And we have 6 consent items. Excuse me.
We want to report out on the closed session.
Okay.
I think it's probably what we want to do.
We'll go ahead then. We prior to this meeting, we had closed session, and there was a couple items, and we should report out on that. You're right.
So at 5 p.m. today, we had a closed session. The commissioners discussed two topics. The first topic had to do with appointments and reappointments to boards and committees, which we are required to do, and we did that after discussing it, and we instructed staff to proceed as discussed. The second topic was a public safety issue. There was a very lengthy discussion that took place, and there was no action taken at this time.
Thank you. Now we have a list of consent items. Number 1 is regular session minutes dated December the 3rd, 2024. We have our liquor minutes dated December the 3rd, 2024. We have our public hearing minutes dated December the 3rd, 2024. We have Jill Coleman, Director of Parks and Recreations, Carrie Klein, and Deputy Director of Public Works, and the renaming of ball field Heroes Field. Jill Coleman, also Director of Parks and Recreation, needs approval to utilize the Stack Sports System and Sports Connect portal. And Tom Yeager, our county attorney, is asking for a release of tax lien on a shore erosion control project. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, sir.
If not, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve all 6 of the consent items as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Now we have County Attorney Tom Yeager.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have one item for legislative session this evening, and that is to consider the introduction of Code Home Rule 10/2024. This is for the establishment of a construction trades board. Mr. Mackey, the Director of Planning, Housing, and Zoning, is here to provide you with some information on that. So you would entertain a motion to go into legislative session. Once you hear from Mr. Mackey, if you are desirous of introducing the bill and going forward, then you would introduce it, and you would direct the clerk to schedule it for public hearing. You would not be having that hearing tonight, nor would you be taking a vote on the passage of the bill tonight. You would simply be determining if you want to go forward and schedule a public hearing. So first, you would entertain a motion for legislative session.
I'll entertain a motion to go into legislative session.
I'll make a motion that we go into legislative session.
Second.
And I have a second. All in favor, say, excuse me, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Good evening, Mr. Mackey.
Good evening, sir. The item before you, as your attorney noted, is proposed legislation. It would amend the public local laws in 3 different chapters, and this is primarily to address changes in state law regarding how master electricians are licensed in the state of Maryland, and it would also provide for a more comprehensive board to advise the county on issues related to all of the construction trades. So I wanted to just walk through very briefly. It's a somewhat lengthy bill. It tries to address a lot of things that have come up during this process. So the beginning part of the bill updates the automatic adoption based on the 18-month Maryland cycle for all of our various building codes. How that works is when a building code is released by the International, I think it's Construction Council, any of those codes, electrical code, plumbing code, et cetera, there's an 18-month period that we adopt after the 18 months. It's sort of the Maryland system. Maryland State adopts it, and then localities have about 18 months to do so. So our current legislation is a little out of date, doesn't include all the different codes, so this updates it. It also adds all of the codes that we currently utilize. It clarifies the inspection process for the International Council process that we use with MDIA. It does create a new board, and that board will incorporate the current Electrical Examiners Board. They will become part of that, expands the membership. It also adopts a required chart in the International Residential Code. There's a chart that localities are supposed to adopt. The state reached out to me and let me know that we've never actually adopted that, and suggested we might want to use Queen Anne's, which is what's proposed in the bill, so that we'll be compliant with that last step. I understand we use that chart anyway. That's the one that our building official does use. And then it would create an exemption for the Solar App Plus application that State of Maryland is requiring all jurisdictions to use to license rooftop solar. It would create an exemption so that if there's any conflict with our codes, it is allowed to go through. And then, last but not least, it sets forth our current registration process that replaces the licensing process in law with all the required parts. So that's I believe it's 18 pages of legislation and what it does. And all of that really ties together to address the changes in state law around master electricians and our need for a board with all the other sort of associated parts. So appreciate your consideration.
So tonight, all we would be doing is deciding whether to go forward with a public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to introduce Code Home Rule Bill 10-2024 and for the bill to be scheduled for a public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very
Gentlemen.
much.
Thank you.
Now you would entertain a motion to
Go
go
out
out
of
of
the
the
legislative session.
Motion to go out of legislative session back into open session.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We are back in open session. And Tom Yeager, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one matter before you with respect to alcoholic beveraging licensing, and this is a public hearing on a new application for Riley's Mill Ale Works. So with your permission, I will read the notice of the public hearing into the record. Application has been made by members David Blake Eason Sr., David Blake Eason Jr., and Randall Neal McLennan, representing Riley's Mill Ale Works LLC for a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license on the premises known as Riley's Mill Ale Works, 860 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, 21620, which shall authorize the holder thereof to keep for sale and to sell beer, wine, and liquor at the place therein described for on-premises consumption or elsewhere. A hearing on the application will be held in the Kent County Commissioners' Hearing Room, R. Clayton Mitchell Jr. Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, on December 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m., at which time any exceptions to the application will be heard. This is by order of the Board of License Commissioners for Kent County, Maryland, Saunders M. Blackiston Clerk. It was published in the Kent County News on November 28th, 2024, and December 5th, 2024. So how we would proceed is first the inspector would come forward and testify, then we would hear from the applicant and anybody in support of the application, and then finally we would hear from anybody who is opposed to the application. And anybody testifying would be available to answer any questions by the commissioners after your testimony. So anybody who is going to testify or thinks they may be testifying, I need you to stand and raise your right hand, please. Is the applicant here? Okay, stand, please. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony that you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief? Okay. And the inspector could come forward first, and I can advise the board that the documents have gone through legal review. They are sufficient, and there is one item that I believe still needs to be addressed, and that is the trader's license. And so if you do vote to approve this license, staff recommends that the approval be conditioned upon the applicant obtaining a trader's license, which they anticipate obtaining after the first of the year. Okay, Inspector?
Good evening. I went out to Riley's Mill Ale Works today. I met with David Blake, Eason Jr. I looked at the place. It's still under construction. He showed me where they were going to store the alcohol, where he was going to sell the alcohol. And like I said, it's still under construction, and there is no alcohol located on the premise as we speak. I was going to let him talk and give you an idea what their business plan is going to be. But like Mr. Yeager said, we would like for it contingent for them to gain a trader's license. They have applied for it through, and they just won't receive it until the first of the year. So they've already applied for it. So we're recommending that their license be approved. They've met all requirements through our office.
The applicants come forward, please.
I'll let you both
You
speak.
can pull one of the chair up there, obviously, if you need to. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello. Good evening. Want me to talk?
Want to state your name and
My name
address
is,
for the record,
I'm
please.
Randall Neal McLennan. Riley's Mill Ale Works has just been a vision of Davey and I for the last 10 years. We've been brewing at home, learning recipes, studying the business for the last 10 years, and my two sons are also involved in the business, so it's a family affair. We've become good friends with some of the brewers around the locations in Chesapeake City and Queen Anne's County. So we were originally planning on doing a farm brewery out in Lynch, where Davey's family has a farm. But the Seed House opened up, and it was a pretty good opportunity for us that we didn't want to pass up. So we want to try to bring the craft culture, to our location and to our vision, which is just basically, companionship, camaraderie, good times, and we want to be invested in the community. Davey and I have spent years and years and years in volunteer fire service, so we understand how important the community is, and we understand how important it is for businesses to be invested in the local communities that are basically keeping them around. So that's what we're planning on doing. Our plan is to, hopefully we can be open by January 15th. We've been spending the last 3 or 4 months preparing the space to suit what we had a vision for. We did pay for the trader's license. They're going to issue it on the 31st. We actually have a copy of it, but it's not active yet, so we're just kind of waiting for that to come in the mail. That's about all I have right now.
Do you have anticipated hours of operation?
We're not trying to stay open late, so we're just doing what most of the craft breweries around us do, Wednesday through Sunday, probably closing at 8 on Wednesday and Thursday, and probably Sunday. We'll be open a little later, maybe till 11 or 12 o'clock on Friday and Saturdays. That's the plan.
And the location of your business, I'm sorry, is that at
The Radcliffe Mill.
Cafe Sado's?
Yes.
Okay,
Right
that
next
same
door.
building.
In the Seed House.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I guess this is a time when we can ask
if there's anybody in
If
the
there's anybody
audience.
in the audience that would like to comment on this application, either for or against it, if we have any opposition, or someone wants to speak in favor of it, feel free to do so. There being none,
Close public hearing and entertain a motion.
gentlemen, you have any questions before we do? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I do have one question real quick. Are you gonna serve any food, I guess with the trader's license?
So right now, we're not planning on serving like a full menu of food. We'll have some snacks available and stuff like that. Eventually, we want to get to that point to where we have food on premises, but we're giving patrons the option to bring food in and eat there. And then we're going to try and get up with Cafe Sado and have a partnership with them of where we can have a food runner go back and forth where we can order food and go get it.
Sounds good. Well, congratulations on your business adventure.
Absolutely. Best of luck.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we go back into open session, and then I'll make a motion, or you want the motion for this now?
Well, I think you close the public hearing and then just make a motion to approve or not to approve, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing. I'd also like to make a motion to approve the alcoholic beverage license application for David Blake Easton Sr.
Well, let's take it one at a time. We'll close the motion first now.
Second.
Close the public hearing, and got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We're now back in open session. So now I'll entertain a motion for the license.
I'll make a motion to approve the alcoholic beverage license application for David Blake Easton Sr., member, David Blake Easton Jr., member, and Randall Neal McLennan, member, Riley's Mill Ale Works, contingent upon them obtaining a valid business trader's license.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Now, we have a certificate, we're going to recognize an individual tonight from our Kent County Public Schools. We have a certificate of appreciation from Virginia Walls. Is Miss Virginia Walls?
like to come up?
Like to come up? Absolutely. Welcome
Thank you.
and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I know what-
Thank you.
I've read it's 51 years, that's a long time to work at a place, isn't it?
It is.
Wow.
Starting when I was 17.
You need to be commended. Well,
Absolutely.
Commissioner Nickerson is going to read a certificate of appreciation from us, and we truly, you certainly deserve it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
This is a certificate of appreciation. This is to certify that Virginia Walls is hereby recognized for 51 years of service in the Finance Department of Kent County Public Schools. Such commitment and loyalty are admired and well respected by all those who have had the honor of working with her. We, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, thank you for your continued devotion, dedication, and public service to Kent County and the community. Signed, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Ronald H. Fithian, President, Albert H. Nickerson, Member, and John F. Price, Member. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'd love to have a picture with you, and it must have been awful hard on you starting work at 6 years old.
It was.
They don't make them like that.
Get in there.
That's right. You want to be in the back? Good move, Shelley.
Got him. Think so. Here, you want one?
I was gonna say, I'm impressed that you could.
And Dr. McComas, you're up. Dr. Mary McComas is our recent new superintendent, and Elisa Stewart is the Director of Finance for Kent County Public Schools, and welcome, both
Yes.
of you.
Thank you, and happy holidays, everyone. I think I only get to be called new for 6 more months. But I'll take it. So good evening. So we're here this evening for 2 items. First is requesting approval for a budget amendment. Let me get my right papers out here. So we are requesting to increase our fund balance by $716,566, which would go into our instructional supplies for $140,711.12, other instructional costs $92,500, transportation $30,000, and fixed charges $63,000. And with that, we're also requesting to decrease the following instructional salaries by $179,000 and other instructional costs by $6,500.
Any questions, gentlemen? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the FY 2025 unrestricted funds budget adjustment number 2 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. And you're up again. We have another one now.
Yes, sir. So we're here this evening. Our second item is to share our audit report for the year ending June 30th, 2024. And then I'll ask Ms. Stewart to take it from here.
So we have the audit report, and in the financial statements, the first page of the independent auditor's report, it states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the Board of Education of Kent County, Maryland, as of June 30th, 2024, and the respective changes in financial position for the year, then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. So essentially, that's an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that you can get on an audit. Page 7 talks about, from pages 7 to pages 14 is pretty much the management discussion analysis. That just gives you an overview of Kent County Public Schools and the details behind our financials. And then from pages 16 to 23, that's going to start off with our statement of net position and our other financial statement, balance sheet, and things of that nature on page 18. And then page 24 to 52 are the notes to the financials. There were no changes to our notes, so that's pretty standard from prior years. I would like to note page 52, which is the fund balance breakdown. We have $1,704,732 in budget reserve, which is what was allocated to use to fund 2025. Our contingency fund balance of $500,000 that is set aside for our policy, per our policy, and then the unassigned fund balance of $1,716,226, of which $36,753.98 is the carryover for concentration of poverty funds, and $103,957.14 is the carryover of TSI funding. Those are unrestricted monies, but still restricted for use. So essentially, it brings our fund balance, unassigned fund balance, to $1,575,514.88. And then moving on to page 54, which gives the breakdown of what our original budget was at the start of 2024, and then what our final budget was at the end of, as of June 30th, 2024, and then it gives you the actuals of our budget. And then starting with page 64, that's more of our supplemental as it comes into our food service and our food service fund balance. We have inventory inventory fund balance of $54,698 and restricted food service $205,974. And then it brings you to the end, page 67, with our our school activities fund. And that pretty much gives you the overview of our financial statements. So if you have any questions.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Any questions?
I'd like for it to go through all 67 pages.
It's a little nighttime reading for you.
Meet with him privately, because I've been advertised.
We'll have some tutoring. Yes, sir.
No, I don't have any questions.
John, Albert, you have any?
No, I'm just making sure, as long as there's nothing that causes our superintendent heartburn, then it doesn't cause us heartburn, so.
Amen.
Then thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
you both have a good holiday.
You too.
Likewise, thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the FY 2024 financial statement audit for Kent County Public Schools.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I had the next appointment, it's supposed to be Dan Matson, but I don't think that's going to be who shows up, so.
Got Carrie Klein.
You got Eric Klein, our deputy director.
Pinch hitting
Thank you very
today.
much.
And we have Daniel String from KCI with an update for Millington wastewater facility.
Very good.
All right, well, great to be back with you folks again. So I was asked to provide a little update on where things stand, talk a little bit about where we were last time and where we are today. So I'll try and keep it high level, but certainly happy to accept any questions and answer as much as I can while I'm here. So as you heard last time, I can talk about wastewater for quite a long time, and people usually don't want to hear about it that long. So, so when we were last here, I told you that the process design was around a 60% level. We were working in coordination with the developer for the land acquisition that we would need. There was discussion of a site shift, and I'm going to revisit that in where we are today. We had initiated all the sub-disciplines, which would be like electrical, structural, instrumentation, those types of design elements. And we're working on revisions of the site because we had already received some requests from the developer who owns the site about how to shift some things around. So that's where we were right in the midst of that last time I was here. All right, so where are we now? So some things that have been accomplished since then. We did the final equipment selection. There was a couple requests from the operators from the county about changing out the grit and the sludge dewatering equipment that was proposed. We've incorporated their comments already. We have officially heard back from MDE on, we had made a request on planning limits for multiple outfall locations near the new site. Last time I was here, we had not received that correspondence. We have received that. Planning limits came in as we expected, so no major surprises there, which is good. Yeah, so that's what we'd always been planning on. The existing wastewater treatment plant site over in Millington, we've designed the modifications. We've gone over those with the town as far as what's planned there. So they're pleased with that. Now, we've done multiple iterations with the developer on the parcel location and some layouts. And that's really what has maybe slowed the project to an extent.
What was that again? I apologize.
So as part of the project, the county is acquiring some land from a developer to build the new treatment plant. That piece of land is being trying to fit in within, their overall development plans as well as what we need. When I say we, I speak for the county as far as what we need for the treatment plant for our needs. And so over the last, 2 to 3 months, we've gone back and forth several times. We've shifted the site, we've rotated the site, trying to come up with a plan that would work both in the short and long term and that would be acceptable to all the parties. So that's taken a bit of back and forth. I'm happy to say that just recently, we think we've locked in the parcel and everyone's happy with it. But as a result of that, there's two major things that we couldn't proceed with. One is the geotechnical investigation where we go out and do borings, figure out what's below the grade, mainly for structural design, so that we can design foundations, design the tanks, and of course, therefore, we couldn't move forward with structural design. We did as much as we could on all the other disciplines during this period of time, without, what we don't want to do is redesign. Redesign costs everybody money. So we tried to go as far as we could without wasting money in a short speak. So we do think we're there now. Last week, we met with Mr. Mackey and the planning group as far as, hey, how is this going to work with getting land from the developer, acquiring the property, all the things that we have to go through as far as developing the property and meeting all the normal requirements that anyone else would have to go through. We still have to do that on a treatment plant. So we've got a game plan for what that's going to look like, and the county is going to be assisting with that, because there are some environmental issues that we have to deal with, mainly the critical areas, based on the location of it. So it benefits the county to take the lead on that. And so between the Department of Public Works and the Department of Planning, they will be basically steering that ship instead of the developer, being beholden to the developer's timeline. So I think that those are all good things moving forward. But it does mean that, we're not as far as we would have liked to have been at this point because of that. So now moving forward, where do we go from here? The MDE coordination, we're gonna have a meeting now that we have a site located. So I've still got, even when I say that we couldn't go as far, we're about 120 sheets into this set at this point, and we'll probably end up closer to 180 when it's all said and done, maybe 200. So it's not, we've got a lot of work done. I would say most of the project is, around 80%. It's the geotech and the structural that has to catch up, and then making sure that we coordinate all the disciplines. So now we're in a position we can meet with MDE. We plan to do that in January. We will be talking to them about our plans for the design, but also outfall locations and the process for getting the new discharge permit. So that's a key meeting to have. We do that in advance of our official submittals because it makes our official submittals go a lot easier. So this is kind of a pre-meeting, and they've been accommodating to that in the past. The county needs to move forward with the land acquisition process. So we need from the developer certain things. We need some of their information so that we can proceed with our work and that the county can secure the property. Then I mentioned the geotechnical investigation, the structural design, and all the land use permitting. So we anticipate going into MDE with our treatment plant side of things in about 3 months. Once we can get the geotech and the structural caught up, we will be going to them with an official submittal on the treatment plant. While that's going on, all the land use, will be coming to the planning and zoning with our land use plans to have that process going in parallel. They don't have to be, one and then the other. So those two things will be going at the same time. So when all's said and done, we expect the land use planning and permitting to be done in the summer. We think, our design will be done before that, but then we're waiting for MDE to complete their review. It's hard to predict exactly what that's going to be. In the meantime, the county will be looking for the rezoning. That's the process that's been going on, really putting all the funding together. My guess is having all the pieces come together with funding, which will include private equity, commitments from developers to move forward, commitments from the county to move forward, and whatever grants and funding and loans can be put together. That's probably going to end up driving when this thing goes, because you really need to have all that money in place to go. I think all these other processes that I'm talking about will be in place and be ready to go by the time the money is. And last piece is just, working out capacity allocations, memorandum of agreement between the county and Millington as far as, working out some legal documents. So those are things that we all have some jobs to do. The county's got some things on their plate. Planning will be helping us with the land use and acquiring the property. We're focusing on the design and all the permitting that goes with it. So we're all kind of, heading in the same direction, not quite as far as we wanted to be because of the whole land, thing that went on, but still heading in a good direction. So that's my quick update. I do have, certainly we can look at these small scales. The one large scale I did bring out, if anybody wants to see it, is the approximate parcel location. So I've got a full scale drawing of that certainly I can share and talk about if you want to see that. I can also have that sent over to you following the meeting so everybody can review it at their leisure.
Good idea.
Yep.
If it was here, we could take some opportunity to look at it.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah. So if you, a wild guess, you say the middle, summer, you think, the reason, obviously, the reason we talk about this, when we'll be able to put a shovel in the ground is because a developer, there's a whole lot that they could be doing while we're building this thing, but nobody's gonna commit to anything until this is approved. And they see a shovel go in the ground, and then they can start other work like roads, sewer lines, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, I mentioned that I think the land use process, as far as, going through the county's land use, and just like you would for any other development, I picture that wrapping up this summer. Like I said, I think we'll be into MDE, this spring, so that we'll get in there a couple months ahead of that. As far as how long it's gonna take to get through that last process, you're probably 5 or 6 months is probably fair, so late summer at the earliest is when that would be approved. And what I mentioned is I think the funding is going to be the critical path here. I think when we get our first set of comments back from MDE and we have the land use, pretty close to final, that gives everybody a pretty good feeling about where things stand. And I think that's when you can start making some agreements with developers about committing impact fees and infrastructure contributions and things like that. So there's some things that can start moving. But before the county's going to put out the amount of money that you're going to need to put out to do this, I think you're going to want to have you're going to have some other funding in place, and you're going to want some commitments from some of those private entities. So our job, I was talking with Mike earlier today. I know Dan's sick. Mike's out with some other things, but we talked, and I said, my job is to try and make sure that our treatment plant is sitting and, the design and all the permitting is sitting and waiting for the money. And that's what our goal is to be. I do think that partnership with the private community is it's challenging, and it's going to be, something that everyone, okay, when do we feel ready? When are we ready to go there? So my job is to make sure that this isn't the critical path and that the money becomes the critical path.
I got you. Okay.
How many acres is the plant going to be on?
The parcel that the county will ultimately own is about 5 acres.
Yeah, I agree with you. I haven't heard a word about, the purchase price. We're assuming we're purchasing it, but we haven't heard a word about.
Appraisals are in process right now.
Okay.
Mike's been working on the appraisal process.
And Mr. Mackey has been in contact with the developer who owns the land and has been going back and forth.
Negotiating a land buyback deal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any other questions? Well, I thank you very much.
Sure. And what I'll do is I'll send over some notes and this plan just so that, whoever wants to see it can.
Sure.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Now we have our Leslie Feliz, our government relations count, Greenville, shucks, I better put my glasses on. Greenville Consulting Group, and with a general update, and
With Jonathan Carpenter joining her.
very nice to see you over on this eastern shore.
Thank you very much. Love being home.
Future residents, or at least one of them.
Now, how's everything in Annapolis?
Crazy.
Ramping up.
Yeah, getting ready to get started.
Yep. So,
When does it actually start?
January 8th.
January the 8th.
right here, we're there. Started 2 months ago.
Yeah, right.
About that.
So again, Jonathan Carpenter, Leslie Felice, Greenwell Consulting. Thank you for the opportunity. Love working for you. Love being your eyes and ears in Annapolis. Just want to say thank you, Shelley, for everything you do. So the biggest thing this year is no hidden agendas. We know it's the deficit. Looking at a $2.7 billion deficit. I hear it's been it's the largest deficit that Maryland's had to deal with in 20 years. Since the Great Recession. So it's major, it's real. They can't kick the can down the road anymore. There are things that they've been doing, maybe going into the rainy day funds, some projected revenue growth, but things, they have to do some real things this year. The two biggest things that are the deficit drivers is, number one, that this county has been saying since I've come on board and been with you, which is the blueprint. The funding formula, the education blueprint, how do you get it done? It's been unanimous across the state from every county, every city, that it's an unfunded mandate on our public municipalities, our counties, and our cities. everybody's saying the same thing, so they have to address this, and we said this coming in the door a couple of years ago. It's really put a burden on all of our counties and cities. So we're looking for the General Assembly this year to modify it, come up with a new formula, everything that we've been saying. Just a matter of time, and now is the time, because it's certainly an unfunded mandate on everyone. The federal government is big in terms of performance in dollars to the state of Maryland. There's a big uncertainty with the new administration, what things are going to be cut congressionally through the new administration, so much so that the state of Maryland has tried to preempt what could happen. They've hired a company just to go through different scenarios and how they would respond as a government to any cuts that may come. They reached out to a company, I think it's Accenture, and hired them just to go through the different scenarios with their experience and what would be the rebuttals to some of the cuts that may come and what moves could they make to alleviate what might be lack of funding coming in the state. Federal government for the state of Maryland, it's like $42 billion. That's how important it is. That's 10% of the private sector gross product in the state of
I
Maryland.
think the governor said the other night at dinner, said it was, I think they announced it was 140,000 employees in the state of Maryland that work, federal employees.
And so that's major. Even with the commitment to the new FBI building, we're not sure. We think it's going to be protected because it was a procurement process. As you know, once you go through a procurement process and they want it, it makes it that much more easier to defend. However, they still don't know. Will they try to bring that back or take it back? Because that could be big. Again, another revenue generator for the state. So it's a major piece. We'll begin to look at it. We were told by some delegates and senators, they were told, if you have a project with a fiscal note, or if you have a bill with a fiscal note, then don't put it in. But we know it's a serious thing. But however, we must do our priority projects. So our job is to get out there. We've heard from the wastewater project where it's going at, and to keep that on the minds of leadership moving forward. I'll let Leslie talk a little bit about our bills, but ongoing projects, we continue to want to work with you on Department of Environment. It was good to sit in on that meeting. Leslie was there. Department of Corrections and those conversations, always there to help you move forward in those projects.
Thank you very much.
So I just want to provide a brief update on bills that were officially enacted as of October 1st. In the agenda packet, I compiled a list of bills. Well, thank you for reading it. I appreciate it.
Well, I didn't like many of them, but
I tried my best to compile them to county-related ones. If you want to see the full list of bills that were enacted, I do warn everyone, it's 150 pages. So we are happy to look through it if there's a specific bill you're interested in. There are two I just wanted to mention today. The first one is House Bill 1032. The state is going to design a new signage system that's aiming to drive motorists and other people to attractions and tourist designations. So I know that the county is always working on economic development, so just something I wanted to mention as we move forward. And another one, it's House Bill 576. I have discussed this one before, so more so a reminder that the state is now allowing counties to establish a program for mental health outpatient facilities. So if a county decides not to do the plan themselves, the state is going to come in and design it for your county. So just something to keep in mind. It really is up to the county to decide if you want to opt in or not, but we're happy to give you more information. This will be something that is looked by the Department of Health, so something that we'll see next year. So those are just two bills I wanted to mention. I will stop just to see if there were any questions on any other bills.
So the one about the mental health, that goes into effect in 2026?
Correct, yes, so we have some time.
That is the one that you got briefed on last meeting or 2 meetings ago, whenever that was, with Bill Webb and Katie Deli.
What do you, obviously, the physical issue is the real, that's the real issue this year. But with bond bill, legislative bond bills, does it affect that as well, you think, or I guess it affects anything that's got a dollar
Yeah,
amount.
it will, however, there is still going to be that allocation to the senators and delegates for LBIs. However, it just won't be the same
big.
amount. Right,
I got you.
absolutely, yes. But they will have the opportunity to go after LBIs. It's just about the amounts.
Does, like MDE and agencies like that, that help some of these local towns and stuff with water and sewer issues and stuff, that will also probably be affected, just because their allocation, the amount of money they have to play with won't be as large
Absolutely.
due to this deficit.
Absolutely, and that's why we stay in constant communication, trying to, keep the updates so we know where we're at in the process. So like when you had the meeting with MDE and they talk about as soon as possible getting the application in so we get out in front of things, those are the type of things that we continue to keep our ear to the ground and we want to know about.
Yeah, and you just heard an explanation about one of or a discussion about one of our top priorities, I guess, for the county anyhow, in that.
And as you may recall, we already saw some cuts made to the Department of Transportation, so that is definitely a department that is continuing to be monitored. The board right now, their priorities are capital projects, so we don't expect bond bills to completely go away, but we won't see those large numbers as we've seen in previous years. We've also seen that's going to be a $8.7 billion cost because of the blueprint. So we have recently seen that the governor does want to go back and see what adjustments can be made to it. So those are the two areas that we predict we'll see some cuts or moving around.
And there have been talks about taxes. However, I don't know that the governor wants to go down that road. So I would expect to hear a lot of chatter about iGaming again this year. Anything that can generate revenue, iGaming, coming online with the casinos across the state, anything that can generate new income.
You mean, so all of the money that was promised to, that money? The
Yeah,
money
that's
that was
right.
promised from the casinos that
That's
was
right.
supposed to fix education?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That money, that's right.
Yeah,
Give them some new money. right?
gotcha.
And see if that comes in.
Got, okay, I just,
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
The only other thing I wanted to mention were just key dates for the upcoming session. I already mentioned the first day is January 8th, but January 15th is when the governor will release his drafts for the budget, both the operating and capital. So that's going to be a really big day. We'll get to see which departments may have gotten cuts. So that is something you should mark in your calendars, but we'll make sure to notify
That sort of
you.
lets you know the direction that they're all
Yes.
heading in, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
correct.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very good. Well, listen, I don't know whether my colleagues have any questions, but it's always good to see you. We appreciate the work you do for us and keeping us advised of what's going on over there, because I don't know about my colleagues, but I don't like going over there. I don't sound terrible, but I just.
But we
I
love
like
having
it
you there,
better.
right? You know that, right?
I feel a lot better when I stay on this side. I'm just not cut out for over there or something. I don't know what it is, but we appreciate the work you do for us, and we look forward to being with you for a long time.
yeah, I'd like to echo those comments. We appreciate everything you do. And I'm sure you guys already know we're going to be over there again, beating them up again for the school. Who knows where that'll go. I mean, they can't stop building schools. Maybe we'll get lucky and maybe, I think we had a little bit of momentum last year, partly because of help from y'all. But we'll be over there again doing that, and I think it's painfully obvious, even, just to hear the governor mentioning, a rethink finally about the blueprint. I'm not, nobody here is super optimistic, but I think the writing's on the wall that something has to be done. I'm a little bit apprehensive. I too, reading between the lines, I don't think that they want to touch the taxes at the state level, but I'm pretty afraid that they're going to want to pass that down the food chain, so to speak, and see if the counties are willing to.
More burden.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I would also like to mention that Dr. McComas, that you just saw present, our new superintendent, has just met with the delegation regarding strategies for the middle school. So I'll definitely keep you posted as I learn more information.
Thank you.
I too just want to thank you for everything that you do over there. And the only other thing I would like to add is I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank
For
you.
sure. Your pleasure, your group is a pleasure to work with, all of you, and we cherish that relationship.
Thank you.
You have a good holiday.
You
too.
Thank you very much.
Drive
Thank you.
safely.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
for making that
Can't wait
trip.
to help you move in.
Hopefully soon.
Carrie, you're one that, you got, there's a lot of areas on here, you're on there. Welcome, though.
Thank you, thank you. I will do my best with the water wastewater pieces for this evening, but we'll start with some proposals for the improvements at the various parks in the county. So we have the local parks and playground infrastructure program and program open space funded projects that we're looking at. We have some quotes or proposals from Long Fence for various ball field improvements within the county at Toll and at Wharton. We're looking at 2 sets, so 4 dugouts, 5 dugout enclosures, a sideline fence and a home run fence at Orem Field, and 6 separate backstops at both at Toll, at the one ball field at Toll, and then all of the ball fields at Wharton, with the exception of one that has already been completed. The total for this project, or the proposal is $224,061. This is on this year's budget, and it's all of the LPPI projects are 100% funded, and Project Open Space is 90% funded. And the county matches it by 10%, and that's already on the budget, so we're just looking for approval today. For the approval of, the approval of the Long Fence proposal for the ball field improvements for the county. So that's what we're recommending.
No, just, since Jill's here, this is what you want, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. And we were able to get a quantity discount for the dugouts, so we're getting 4 at a much lower price than we would have if we'd just gotten 2. So, and we have the money for it in the budget, so it'll be a nice improvement, and it was by Jill's request, because you can have more tournaments if we have actual dugouts, covered dugouts for
Very good.
the kids.
Very good. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Long Fence Orem -002, Toll Park -001, and Wharton -001 contracts in the total amount of $224,061 to be funded by existing local parks and playground infrastructure and program open space grants at Wharton Park and also Toll Park.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Excellent. The next one is a program open space funded upgrade to our basketball courts, and this is a lighting proposal with Musco. It is a Sourcewell contract, and that will be for 2 lighting sources at the Wharton basketball courts. The total cost is $73,041, and the Department of Public Works respectfully recommends approval of the Musco Sports Lighting price quote as well. This is also 90% funded by program open space, 10% funded by the county.
Any questions?
No, but I just want to clarify. So these are the basketball courts that are in the back of the park?
Yes.
And we're in the process of redoing them, renovating the entire
Yes.
court, exactly. I just want, so we're
Yeah.
not putting new
Oh,
ones.
yes. No, it's part of a larger renovation. This is just a piece of it, and it's the lighting. So, yeah, it'll be resurfaced and relined and new baskets and backboards and fenced, yes.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Musco Sports Lighting price quote 231341 and 231341A in the total amount of $73,041 to be funded by existing program open space grant at Wharton Park.
Motion and a second.
We have a second, yes.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank
Now we're going to talk about some ARPA projects.
Yes, these are all ARPA-funded projects, and it's all water, wastewater, starting with construction administration, with GMB, the group that we've already engaged for another piece of this project. So it's the Wharton wastewater plant dewatering equipment replacement, installation, construction, administration, work assignment number 5. That's what we're talking about today. The background information was provided to you, but so the current solids press at the Wharton wastewater treatment plant is used to dewater solids from the processing of wastewater and septage. The Wharton facility is the designated and required facility for haulers to dispose of septage servicing customers in Kent County. The current press has been in service since 2011 and is out of service and in need of replacement. Dewatering is required to meet the standards for disposal at the Midshore landfill. So you gentlemen have already awarded the contract for the purchase of the equipment. GMB is currently under contract to prepare the plans and specifications, and now we're asking for them to become the construction administrators for the project.
This is to have it installed.
To oversee, to oversee the work.
The dewatering equipment is, we have it.
Yes.
It's
yes.
already under contract.
That's already under contract.
Gotcha.
And everything is within the budget that we had agreed.
Yes, yes.
Right, this is finalizing those last few dollars of ARPA, and this is, obviously, this is our last meeting of the year, and everything has to be obligated by the end of this calendar year.
Yes.
So if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve work assignment number 5 to George Miles and Burr LLC GMB under a current IDIQ master contract to provide bidding and construction administration services in the amount of $43,877 for the installation of replacement dewatering equipment at Wharton Wastewater Treatment Facility, funding for the work to be obligated from the ARPA funds.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, next ARPA item is for fiber internet services to be added to an additional 7 pump stations throughout the county. There are currently 26 stations in the county. With the completion of this project, we'll have 17 stations that are fully connected to fiber. So let me see if I can give you some additional details. So cellular service is less reliable in certain areas of the county, and the county has already invested in fiber, and then we would like to take advantage of that. So we're looking for Merino Industrial Systems and Services to install the equipment using for the connections to convert the 7 pump stations from cellular to fiber. And we're also looking to, for a change order with the Think Big contract, for the fiber Think Big contract, they would be extending the fiber from the street to each pump station. And then the Merino Industrial Systems, who we've been working with for several years and is familiar with our systems, would be making the connections and switching it over from cellular communication to fiber. And so this would allows for more reliable notifications if we were to run into any issues in those pump stations. And let me see if there are more details. I apologize, this is certainly not in my, my wheelhouse. I'm just making sure I'm covering all bases. Are there any questions regarding this specifically that I might be able to address? Or we've already completed 10 pump stations using this
So
group.
if I understood it right, you're just hooking up to Think Big.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
7 more
Good.
pump stations, so
Yeah.
we'll have 17 out of
More
27.
reliable, I'm sure.
Yep,
More reliable and hopefully more efficient for our workers.
absolutely.
Yeah, these are the alarms that go off if there's something wrong, and
Yep.
they're notified, whoever's on call
I
gets
would
the
imagine there's
notification.
probably even technology now for these guys to be able to maybe make some changes via.
Remotely, yeah, yeah.
Some of the alarms they can handle remotely.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
right, exactly,
absolutely.
which is
Yeah.
more
SCADA
efficient for them.
systems and
Exactly,
stuff.
so the
Yeah.
more
Control a lot of
information that comes through on that SCADA system, the better equipped they are to
Right.
answer the call.
Yeah, so there are two separate motions. There's one for Marino Industrial Systems and Services, and then there's another motion for Think Big. So the Department of Public Works recommends the approval of the contracts to Marino and Think Big. This work is a continuation of a project to eventually connect all remote pump stations to fiber as service, and is extended to fiber as service is extended to the pump stations. So yes, just a continuation of a project.
So, Mr. President, I'm going to make two motions if there's no other questions.
Yes, sir.
The first motion will be to award a contract to Marino Industrial Systems and Services as the most qualified and experienced contractor in the amount of $26,525 to provide the connections to convert the 7 remote pump stations from cellular communication to fiber network communication. Funding for the purchase will be obligated from the ARPA funds.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Yes, sir.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it.
And, Mr. President, my second motion will be to award a change order to Think Big under an existing contract in the amount of $31,350 to extend fiber from the street as required for each pump station. Funding for this purchase will be obligated from the ARPA funds.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. Very good.
All right, last big project, Wharton wastewater plant electrical wiring replacement contract approval. This is also, we're recommending Marino Industrial Systems as the lowest qualified bidder for this project. This is, let's see, this is to replace power, process, and control wiring within the plant to improve reliability of the treatment process. There's a continued disruption of power, and SCADA reporting indicated, and this indicated a need to address faulty wiring due to water intrusion, interference from other wiring, or damage as certain issues. The wiring was originally installed with previous expansion of the plant, with the wiring bundled and pulled through the conduit in trowel runs to make it difficult to identify and repair individual lines. So they're all bundled, so it's difficult to make individual repairs or pinpoint where the issue's coming from. So the proposed contract will run new wire in its own dedicated conduit or runs and abandon the existing wiring. The wiring will extend throughout the plant influent building, influent pump station, aeration tanks, and digesters. The new junction boxes will be installed and at the reconnection points. So the Department of Public Works recommends approval of the contract with Marino as the lowest responsible and experienced contractor. The repairs are necessary to provide reliability to the operation of the Wharton plant to meet permit discharge requirements.
Any questions? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to award a contract to Marino Industrial Systems and Services as low qualified bidder in the amount of $42,980 to replace digital and analog process control wiring at the Wharton wastewater plant. This funding will also, for this contract, will also be obligated from the ARPA funds.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, so the last item we have for you this evening is the final distribution of the remaining ARPA funds that the county has. So back in 2022, the county was awarded $3.76 million for projects that qualify for use of grant funds from the federal government under the American Rescue Plan Act. So we've been successful in spending that money down, but all of it has to be allocated by, or obligated by the end of this month and spent by the end of 2026. So to avoid rescinding any of the unused funds, we prioritized funding improvements in the water, wastewater, sewer infrastructure, and we've been working to ensure that the projects are off the ground and completed by the required dates. But in order to get this done, we had to, what did we have to do? We had to estimate the cost of certain projects, so some projects came in under the estimates and some projects came in over. Right now, if we have a few projects that are still outstanding, and so we don't know where they're going to come in exactly. And we're asking that that you approve the, it's a little complicated with how to present it. We would like to allocate or what's the word I'm looking for?
Go over budget.
Yeah, go over budget for our ARPA funds to ensure that we spend all of them down. We don't want to leave anything on the table. Knowing that we have, especially that Wharton dewatering project, we have capital funds allocated to that we could make up for any overspend. So if we would like to fully or over budget on the.
Way to be able to use all the ARPA
Yeah,
money.
we want to use every single
when
penny.
it's all
Thank
said.
you.
wanna get one
That's
penny
exactly,
back.
yes. So the proposal is that we overspend on our ARPA funds, or over budget for our ARPA funds in order to make sure that to
Spend every
ensure that we
penny.
spend it all down.
That's right.
And then we have backup. We have the capital funds that are dedicated to the dewatering program or
gotcha.
project. So,
We're good.
you got it?
Yeah, it's important
Okay.
that we,
Good.
but it's also important that we don't, particularly in this year's budget, I'm sure that we.
We don't want to send any back, so
We certainly do
whatever
not.
works.
No.
And I think we're very thankful as a county to have this funding available to us.
Absolutely.
Even though I think it came as a result of COVID.
That is a true statement.
Yes.
But we were able to accomplish a lot of projects that are being paid for.
Absolutely.
So not by taxpayers, but not local taxpayers,
Not
but
directly,
local
or
taxpayers.
directly local, yeah.
The total that came into the county between the municipalities and the county was about 10 million, and ours was just under 4 million.
Right.
And the rest went to the municipalities, so that was a really nice chunk of money.
It's a way to take care of a lot of things that needed attention.
Right, and we didn't have the overly burdensome restrictions that were in
I'm
place.
not sure you'll see anything like this in the next 3 or 4 years with the.
Maybe ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe ever.
Well, hopefully
That's
never
quite
if it
exceptional.
takes another COVID.
Right,
that's-
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, if there's no other questions, I entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve project funding adjustments for obligation of American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds in the amount of $3,766,777 as presented in the attached exhibit, which I looked at last night. And it's very, again, we're very lucky.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Drive safely.
Thank you.
And Shelley, I think you're You gonna
Yes.
do Rosemary's?
Yes, she was unable to join us this evening, but this is, in a nutshell, the third year of a contract that is affectionately called Beyond Your Mental, and the high school students at Kent County High School did name the project. So we are seeking to award the contract with Finley House Global to implement the contract. It's a peer mentoring program between Kent County High School and Kent County Middle School. This contract includes a part-time coordinator and position through the Kent County Public Schools. Finley House will pay KCPS to employ the coordinator with the goal that the program will become seamlessly integrated with the school community and still benefit from the coaching and supervision of Finley House staff. As I stated, this is the third year we've contracted with them in FY '23 and '24 to facilitate a youth-led design program that led to the development of Beyond Your Mental. FY '23 focused on building a cohort of upperclassmen at KCHS to go through a leadership process and identify an intervention for their peers that would improve mental and behavioral health indicators. In FY '24, they further refined the curriculum and piloted a mentoring session and activities. This year will be a full launch of the program with the local coordinator and at least 8 peer mentoring sessions between upperclassmen and the rising ninth graders. So we are seeking approval of the Beyond Your Mental contract with Finley House Global.
Any
Questions?
any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the FY 2025 Beyond Your Mental contract with Finley House Global.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Jill, you're on here. Jill Coleman, who is Director of Parks and Recreations, with a departmental update.
We keep recycling your presenters tonight. So Jill's back.
I'm back. Good evening. I'm here to give a 3-month update on the Department of Parks and Recreation and kind of like what we've been up to lately. Program Open Space, I did receive notification from the Department of Natural Resources that the county was approved for the new Eadsville Park Playground that will go in the FY '26 budget. This project will consist of a new playground and border. We had our annual Lions Club Christmas basket assembled this past weekend, which went very smooth. We also did our Elks Lodge. We hosted our Elks Lodge Hoop Shoot, which was hosted by the Elks Lodge. This was our second year in a row that we hosted this event for them. Our fall 2024 programming and events, we put out a variety of programs. We did, over the fall, the last 3 months, we did 25 different programs or events. We also attended numerous trick-or-treats events at the local public schools and local Kent County agencies. I'd like to say thanks to the county commissioners for allowing the freshman incentive facility access card. We were able to get 52 freshmen come over from the high school and get the free facility access card. As far as statistics with our programming, facility access cards over the 3 months, we've had 182 new memberships and 89 people have renewed their memberships. For our fall co-ed softball league, we have 5 teams. That's one more than last fall. Our youth basketball league, we had 105 participants this season. Youth wrestling program, we have 72 participants. Our youth indoor volleyball, we had 16 participants. Our fall fest, which we do in collaboration with Kent County Health Department and Lockbriar Farm, we had 220 people attend. On the average of each of our college clinics that we do in partnership with Washington College, we've had 50 to 60 participants. We had 20 rentals at the community center this year and 12 rentals at our parks. We also were contacted by Santa Claus this year to help him write Santa letters to all the local children. We are excited to say that we helped Santa write 127 letters out to local kids, yes. Projects that we're in collaboration with the Department of Public Works, renaming 2 of our ball fields, the multipurpose sand courts at Wharton Park. We We put in a sensory path at Wharton Park. We put in sensory panels in the playgrounds and benches around the walking trail at Wharton Park. Our kitchen at the community center has a fresh new look. It has a new paint. The ball wall at Wharton Park has a fresh coat of paint. And we're also currently coordinating with the Youth Soccer League for the players and coaches to put the final touches on that project in the spring. Our bench to honor our lifeguards has been delivered, and we will install that in March down to Betterton Beach. We conducted the weed control spraying at Turner's Creek, and then our Turner's Creek Toll Park projects in collaborations with Washington College. What's new at the community center? We have photos of all of our parks that once we get our lobby painted will be displayed for everyone to see. So if people have not been to our local parks, they can come into our community center and we'll have a display of photos of all of our amenities that are at our parks. And this was a great team effort from my team. We actually have done a new logo, which is actually up there. This is our new Parks and Recreation logo. We worked really hard to try to pretty much entail it to the county's logo as well. So this is actually what my Parks and Recreation team, we came up for a new logo for our Parks and Recreation. And I'm pretty excited about that logo. I really like the logo.
Very nice.
Thank you. And then I'd also like to express my sincere gratitude to each of you for granting me the opportunity to serve as the Director of Parks and Recreation.
Believe me, it's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
So thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a comment.
Okay,
First of all, you're doing a great job,
thank you.
you and your staff together. Secondly, this time of year, you know, the United States Post Office is extremely busy, along with all the other carriers that deliver packages and mail. And that mailbox that goes directly to the North Pole, I've heard so much about that, and the youth and the parents are so happy that it's there, because we know that those letters that those children put in that box expeditiously get to Santa. And I've heard a lot of very, very positive comments about how well that's working here.
Awesome,
So,
awesome. That's been an awesome project for us. I mean, we were glad Santa contacted us so that we could partnership with him.
I've put 10 letters in there so far.
You can forget them. They're good. Not doing good.
lots of positive comments.
For sure,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
You
Christmas.
too.
Yeah.
You gonna trademark that?
Gonna trademark that? Think we should? You like it?
I think you should. Anything like that, you should trademark. It's easy to
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Mr. Bill Mackey, you're up
Again.
again.
Sir.
Two items before you. The first item involves a request for an intern from Washington College. As part of the many things we do for towns and other agencies, we'd like to be able to map the fire hydrants in Rock Hall. Staff actually did that for Betterton. It's a much smaller area. And in Chestertown, a Washington College intern mapped all of their fire hydrants. So we'd like to be able to do that for Rock Hall. Working with the college, it's a cost of a little over $2,400, and that would occur during the spring semester. A student would work about 10 hours per week for 12 weeks. And I reached out to Bob Resley because I wanted to make sure I wasn't proposing something that he was already doing or, step on toes. And he was really excited about the project. The town has actually purchased a computer program and a tablet to be able to map things, but they don't have the staff to do it. So we'll do sort of a double header. We'll do our GIS and we'll use their tablet and we'll do it twice while we're out. So I think, and I've talked to the college about that and they're fine with that. So hoping that you'll be willing to fund that. So thank you.
Any questions?
I think it's very worthy.
I think it's great.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve $2,448 of contingency funds for the proposal Washington College internship project.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
The next item is a proposed annexation by the town of Galena. On November 6th, the town forwarded its proposal to the county for review, and on December 5th, your planning commission met to review the proposal, and the planning commission's letter is included in the packet. The town of Kalina is requesting a waiver of the 5-year rezoning rule. There's some TAC minutes included in your package. Basically, the purpose of the 5-year rule is that when a municipality annexes property, if the zoning that they're going to propose increases density by a large amount, or it's a large development, and it would require county services to support it that might not be online, it gives the county the option, and it's automatic, there's a 5-year waiting period, to be able to catch up with infrastructure. In this case, all of the items that are related to this project, there is not a county obligation for that. So, Planning Commission reviewed it. Staff also recommends approval of the waiver of the 5-year rule, and there are representatives here from the town to speak to that. The Honorable Mayor is here, and also the zoning coordinator. So I don't know if they want to speak, but I know they're here, so.
They're always welcome to speak before us, but I'm not sure it's necessary if you want to wait and see. I mean, but Mayor, you'd like to address the county, you're certainly welcome at any time.
I do have a question, if you have time to come up. So, Bill, before you sit down, well, you can say it doesn't matter, but it's my understanding that there's no impact on any of the county's infrastructure.
No.
That's
our understanding as well, yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
I know that you had a public hearing
Yes.
allowing your town residents to come in and so forth. Were there any, was there opposition to the annexation, or?
There was a few. A lot of people mostly didn't know what annexation was about. A lot of folks think annexation is, boom, you're building a development tomorrow. And I think that was really the whole thing. I mean, Tom was there as well.
That was my assessment.
Yes, a lot of it was just answering questions. There was a few that really kind of got rabble-roused up with Facebook and things like that into.
I think there were some falsehoods.
Yes, yes,
Correct.
and going way down the rabbit hole. Right now.
Yeah, the folks that came that had concerns, by the time they left, I can't speak for everybody, but by the time they left the public hearing, my sense was that for a number of folks, a lot of their concerns were alleviated after
Yes.
the mayor had an opportunity to explain the process
And what
and exactly
happens.
what was being proposed.
Yes. We had the property owner there as well to explain things to and kind of set the record straight. And kind of what their purpose was with doing this annexation, it wasn't necessarily about, I want to annex and build a huge development tomorrow. Part of that property is already in the town limits and is already zoned. And so by zoning by right, they could start building on there. But they came to us and said, we'd really rather come in and do a good project and not just cram in every house we can just because it's already in an area serviced by water and sewer in your town. And so they said, how do we do this? So we kind of walked through the process with the annexation and said, that's your step one. Bring it into the corporate limits. And then our Planning and Zoning Commission can review plans for how they would like to zone this and their design, concept plans. We can have our teams and engineer review engineering. There's a long process that goes into all of this. This is just a sort of a step one. But without that, really we go nowhere. And I think that's what people really didn't understand is what Facebook sometimes will tell you is this is happening tomorrow. And then everybody, once we explained it, oh, okay, I get it.
Well, whether it happens tomorrow or a year, it's happening. I mean,
Yes,
So
yes.
I don't know that, discounting whether it's today or tomorrow. I mean, I don't know whether, why that even matters. I mean.
Sure. But I think that was what people got kind of up in arms about was, oh my God, this is going to happen and it's happening right now.
So they don't want it to happen tomorrow, but they're okay with it happening in a year?
I didn't necessarily see that, like,
Okay.
they didn't care about that. They just didn't understand the process of like, I think they thought it was, something was just approved and ready to roll.
Right.
No, there's a long process of going through because we have to have public hearings for any zoning, you have to have public hearings for your review of your concept plan, and then that's where we get the full input on where the community really wants to go with the whole thing. But you can't do it until you've done the annexation. We can't zone something or make any plans or approvals until it's legally in our corporate boundaries.
One of the things the town has done is we've been negotiating with the developer on an annexation plan.
Yes.
So there's concerns of the town that are addressed in that, and one of the other things the town is doing is by having this property in the town can have a say in how it's laid out, so it's integrated in the town. For example, instead of having separate connections to State Highway, we're looking at extending existing streets.
Yeah.
So it fosters more of a sense of community with the town by extending existing streets. And then also having it, the development of this property be in harmony with what's in the town already, whereas
Sure.
the portion of it, as the mayor said, some of it's already in the town and could be developed tomorrow. The portions of it that are closer to the center of the town would have a little higher density development than what's going farther away. And then laying out the open space, and also the town is going to receive a park from this. There's going to be some land that's going to be donated or transferred to the town for purposes of a park. So there's been a lot of thought put into this to have something that's harmonious with what's already in the town.
Yes.
Well, it couldn't be developed tomorrow.
No
Well, what I'm
property that
saying
size
is, well,
could-
that's my point is, you can't say, well, it's not going to be developed tomorrow, and then you say it could be developed tomorrow. It all has to go
Oh,
through the
yeah,
same
process.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I
but-
jumped the gun there.
Right.
What I meant to say was, there's some property in town
Yes.
where today, the developer could submit concept
Right.
plans and a site plan and go right to the site plan, concept plan stage. Whereas the property that's not in town, first has to be annexed in, second has to be zoned, and then third, you would start with your concept plan, then your preliminary site plan. So it's, nothing can be developed tomorrow, but it's a quicker process for the property that's already in town if it were to be done piecemeal.
And generally speaking, it's a very deliberate planning process. It's not something that somebody can put a shovel in the ground.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, how many acres is it?
So the total parcel is a little over 100.
Is it?
And about 70 or so would be,
78.
78 would be coming in with this. Really developable land is maybe 50-ish acres out of that, because about 20 some would end up being open space areas. There's a pond and a ravine area that we're kind of looking at long-term, making like a nature park and an
That's the
area.
parcel right past your.
Yes, behind the town hall, behind the town hall. And so the idea is, I mean, really, we have about 150 roughly EDUs available for water and sewer. That's kind of what our capacity is. So it's kind of like another Dogwood Village and Dogwood Plaza. That's really the reality and the scope on that. And I think that's kind of sometimes what the chatter, folks will hear one part and then it grows and grows and grows and grows through the rumor mill, not necessarily of this is what it truly can be, because we're limited on the capacity. We can only build so much. But from a standpoint of operations with the government end of it is, we really do need those users, because we're a teeny tiny town with about 300 users right now, or customers on our water and sewer system that were designed for much larger. So it costs us much more. The residents pay a whole lot more on that. If you have a larger basis to spread across, you're not really using maybe a little bit more chemical really for wastewater treatment plant and for treating the water, but your cost per person substantially goes down because you obviously have more users to spread it across. We also looked at too.
The rates aren't going to go down.
Not necessarily. What it can
Rates
do
aren't
is
gonna go
offset, it's offsetting those increases.
Well, I just think we need to be clear about how
Yes.
we market this
Sure.
to the existing community.
Yeah.
The rates are not going to go down.
Correct. And the town
It's a proven
did.
fact that the houses don't make municipalities or governments money. They
Right.
don't.
There was
It's
no-
a net loss.
There was no representation that rates were going to go down. I think it was presented that, just as the mayor said, that this would play a role in trying to keep future rate increases
Increases at
reasonable,
bay.
rather than having to do a
I agree with
significant.
And that's where I'm
I
going
don't-
with this.
I just
Yeah.
don't want to, I
Sure.
don't want it to be marketed
No,
incorrectly. I'm not saying that I disagree with this project, but at the same time, I think that there's a
But there's
lot
an
of.
effort to try and sustain.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, what Commissioner Nickerson said is correct, and the town has tried to portray it that way, not to be misleading.
Sure.
Because people will ask that, well, are our rates going to go down? The answer to that question
And that was a
is
question
no.
we actually had, and I had
Right.
to explain it just like that.
Correct, and one of the other things that we're looking at is the access to the town hall, the town office, instead of having that directly off the state highway, if we extend Phelps, then we would
Come
have
in for another
access
ways,
to the
yes.
town hall off of Phelps. And we're looking at things that could increase pedestrian safety and making the town a little more pedestrian friendly.
And another part with our annexation agreement we're negotiating is that any new project that's developed onto that parcel would have a special taxing district, so that it would not hurt, because basically, a lot of what you have going on that's going to be shared common elements, normally, if you're out in the county, there'd be an HOA or something like that that would maintain that for stormwater, streetlights, open space areas, things that are related to that community specifically. They would have a special tax just on their tax bill. Like Millington does the same thing in a development they have there. It's at $50 additional a year. That maintains their stormwater. And I think the streetlights in that neighborhood over there. So that way it doesn't become the burden of the existing residents who are already there. I'm trying to think of things to make it so that when you do this, you do it right. We've learned all kinds of things, that were done in the past, that were done, that's what the process was. How you developed a streetscape, you put in your stormwater and your sidewalks after the development was finished. That's how that was done in 30 years ago. It's not the practice anymore. So we have all of that kind of listed out already up front of what we're looking at. Because we've seen where there was errors and there's pain points on our issues now.
The other thing is if this development goes forward, that means there's not going to be a solar field there. And Betterton's kind of in that situation where there was property that was always intended and always thought was going to be developed as residential, got sold, and now it's in the hands of the Public Service Commission. And in Betterton, we tried to explain to people in the town that the town just can't have a veto or stop it. It's a Public Service Commission decision. So if this property comes in and this development goes forward, we have a growth area that can actually be used for its intended purpose as residential in a growth area, rather than seeing a solar field put in an area that really isn't appropriate for a solar field. And I only say that because we know of two instances in the county, Morgneck Solar and now what's coming in Betterton, where you had two areas that were years and years and years in comprehensive plans were planned for growth of municipalities, which are now solar fields, which really belong in an industrial area. So if this development goes forward, there won't be that issue in Galena.
Sure.
Okay, well, the issue we have tonight is you want to
Yes.
the 5-year.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for bringing it back.
We'll get to that. I'm sure that why I said it, you didn't have to say much,
Sure.
was because by the time this thing gets moving and it's fully developed, the 5 years is going to be over anyhow. So, I mean, I just think it's a no-brainer that I don't personally see why we would not waive that.
Sure.
But that's just me. Any questions?
No, I just had some questions.
Sure.
Sure.
And I should have tried to attend your meeting.
Yeah, me too.
That's okay.
But I was unable to be there.
You wouldn't have been able to fit in there. There were so many people.
We did have a full house,
It
yes.
was, yes, very hot.
Well, it's good.
And I was actually very happy with it. I thanked everybody. I said, because we have meetings all the time. And this is how many people are usually in our meetings. So I was actually happy.
Well, I too, after hearing everything, don't really have any issues with providing you with this waiver. So I guess I can make the motion and we'll see how it goes from there. I'd like to make a motion to grant a waiver of the 5-year rezoning rule for the 2024 Town of Galena annexation proposal.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
I didn't say I was against it, I just had
I understand.
questions.
I understand.
And I wanted to make sure that the public wasn't misled by saying, well, you can develop tomorrow, well, no, you can't develop tomorrow, well, you can.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate
knew
it.
it was an open
I'm eating my
process,
word.
but
I'm eating my
I
word.
do
No, no, well, but I
understand
just,
it.
but I just want to make sure.
I live there too,
that
so
the
I have
public-
to make sure that I'm doing a good job, because
I-
it's in my backyard too.
Right.
Hers too.
It's in my
Her
front
front yard.
I think it's a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
And one thing's for sure, this, as was been discussed, it's not going to make the water and sewer rates go down in Galena, but it's going to maybe keep them from going up.
From going up
Maybe
further.
keep them from going
Yes,
up.
that's my intention.
Yeah.
That's my intention to work towards. Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Sorry you had to wait so long.
I understand.
Shelley, I think you're up.
Yes, I have a few items for you. The first is on behalf of our courts, Miss Lindsay Bloom and Judge Murphy, and as well as the Clerk of Court, Sharice Kennard. This is a contract for Atlantic Security, and this is being funded from a grant that you approved back in March when Ms. Kennard and her deputy came in to present. It's taken a little while to get it off the ground, but this specific piece of the project, this is not the entire grant, but this specific piece is going to cost $36,985, and this is entirely paid for by the grant that was approved by the Administrative Office of Courts. And this is for the enhancements to existing security system, including closed-circuit TV and access control. This was sole sourced to Atlantic Security because they are the ones that provide all of the security systems currently in the courthouse.
Any questions?
Nope.
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract proposal as presented from Atlantic Security.
Second.
Got a second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Alrighty, second on the list is a amendment to our lease for the Board of Elections. As you know, we've been in negotiations about the future location of the Board of Elections. What this amendment does is extend our current lease in the current location at the same square footage cost for 6 months as we work through that process. So the period of performance of this extension is January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
I know there was some conversation about out to Wharton at the elementary school. Was that going anywhere? Is it
Yes,
still
actually.
being reviewed or?
That's being reviewed, being evaluated by one of the contractors that's working over in the courthouse as to what major repairs would have to be done to the building to make it work. So that is in process. We're still very much in the preliminary stages of that conversation. Dr. McComas and I have had many conversations about it. Public Works, Dan Mattson is helping us with the technical side of the engineering part of it with his contractor. But at this point, there is no recommendation to be made or even estimates that have
Okay.
been formulated. So what this does is it buys us 6 more months at our
I
current
hear you.
location.
Then I'll entertain, and no other questions, I'll
No,
entertain a
it's nice
motion.
that they're working with us on the timeframe.
I'd like to make
They've been terrific, by the way. KRM's been terrific about that.
I'd like to make a motion to sign the Eighth Amendment to the Kent County Board of Elections lease with KRM GSM LLC.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, one of our beautiful outdoor camps, Echo Hill Outdoor School, is requesting a letter of support for a grant opportunity. This is with DNR, Department of Natural Resources, for a shoreline restoration project. Staff recommends approval of the letter of support.
Make a motion that we sign the letter.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
And another letter of support request from this one, Washington College. The grant, if awarded, would be from the Department of Commerce, which is a funding request to develop a food entrepreneurship and agricultural sustainability technologies initiative. So they've asked for a letter of support to go to the Department of Commerce for this initiative.
I'd like to make a motion to approve and sign the letter of support as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
I do not have anything further of you unless you have questions for me.
Then I will make a motion, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Comment.
Oh, I'm
Comment.
sorry, I
Public
jumped
comment.
ahead. John, you've been so patient all night, and then I just completely ignore you, and that's terrible.
He usually don't sit in the back.
I know,
Yeah,
that's what
I
threw
guess
him off.
maybe that's what threw me off. Mike? Jill, you got anything else, hon?
Just worried about what they're gonna do in Annapolis. Motion to adjourn.
As are we all. Get it in there, get it in there.
I got a motion, do I have a second?
Before we adjourn, on behalf of the county commissioners of Kent County and all Kent County's employees, we would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I'll second the motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned then.